Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Symphogear G, episode 4. And it's been a couple weeks, like 2.5 weeks since we last reacted to this, and I apologize for that. There's multiple reasons as to why it's been so long. One of the big things to note is there's other shows currently on my scheduled slots that are just a lot that I'm more invested in. And it's not saying that I'm not invested in Symphogear, because I definitely am, but there's other shows like Hell's Paradise and whatnot that I'm just like really into right now. Because of that, some shows might take a little bit of a back burner to those sometimes. Another reason is Symphogear is one of those shows that is heavy. It's not like Doom Patrol heavy, where it's like it just makes me feel bad every time I watch it, even though it's a really good show. No, but it is still heavy. It deals with a lot of trauma and a lot of just dark situations and whatnot. Obviously all blended with the like cutesy art style and, you know, cute, fun, nice characters. It's a good blend of that you just, at least I don't see very often. But sometimes, because it does touch on stuff like trauma and whatnot, I'm sometimes just not in the mood to get to an episode. And it's been one of those things that I've actually been sticking to my channel rule on. One of the few things I've actually been doing with that. For those who may not know, one of my big channel rules with having no schedule and just having a certain set of slots for consistently reacted to shows is that I react to whatever I want from those slots whenever I'm feeling up to it. So I start the day, and that's when I choose what I'm going to react to. I don't like schedule it out ahead of time. I choose what I'm going to react to on a day-by-day basis for the most part. The only exception right now has been Jujutsu Kaisen and Link Click, which both come out pretty much back to back, making at the end of the week. So it just makes the best sense to get to those both on Friday. But that's like the only exception to this. Otherwise, I'm still sticking with the entire just get to it at any time thing. I don't have a specific day set for anything else. So because of that, though, I've had this problem, and I believe I talked about this in like the Hell's Paradise video yesterday, but talking about it again here for those who may not watch that one. I have this problem where it's like every time I'm like doing these recordings each week, it's like I want to almost force myself to get to each show because I don't want to let anyone down. But this is like the one show I've actually been sticking with my rule on, and I don't know why. I don't know if maybe like it's the one I'm least invested in right now in my slots, or if it's the one I'm just not as focused on. I don't know the reason. But because of that, it's been like nearly 3 weeks since I've last reacted to it. And again, I apologize for that. That was not my intent by any means. It just kind of happened that way. And the last time I reacted to it as well was the Donation Reward Appreciation Week. So it's like I got to it that week, especially because it was part of that. So I feel bad for having it put off for so long. But hopefully we won't have that issue again. But if we do, just know that I'm trying my best right now to make sure everything gets that kind of treatment. That it's like I only react to whatever I want when I want to get to it. And if that means certain shows are put off for a week or something, or maybe even a couple weeks, then that's how it goes. It doesn't mean they're going to be dropped. It just means that they're not being reacted to yet. They're going to be reacted to when I get to them. I hope I'm making sense here because, like, I woke up not too long ago, and so I'm a little dazed still, I guess you could say. I've yet to fully, I've yet to fully hook into the world today. So, I apologize if I seem a little out of it, but I wanted to try to explain why it's been a while. And I think another reason, though, why it has been a while was because of what happened at the end of the last episode. The declaration that Maria is the new Fine, that and not even just the new Fine, but that she is the reincarnation of Fine. It's just like, are you really just bringing back the same main bad guy again? Like, can't you do something different? Have it just having this terrorist group called Fine is fine. You don't need to bring back actual Fine if that's what they're doing here. That's completely unnecessary. It's like Maria was already an interesting character on her own. You don't need to do this. So it's like, because of that, that's also a thing that's been holding me back from getting to this next episode. Because it's just like, it's been concerning me, I'll say. And I'm just kind of worried as to where this is going to go. I mean, we knew from last season, right, that Fine has, like, resurrected into multiple bodies throughout history and all, right? So, like, the woman from the last season wasn't the first one. It's not unbelievable that she'd return again. It's just I don't really want her to, especially so soon after after she had already been here. If it was like a few more seasons in, like, oh, she returns in season 3 or 4, I'd say more preferably 4. Then it's like you have a couple seasons without her, but maybe have her influence still in there, of course, with the terrorist organization and all. But then at season 4, she actually comes back. It's like that could work, but right away in season 2, it just feels like a bad move, honestly. But of course, I don't know how it's going to be handled yet. So I can't actually say it's a bad move. And hell, for all we know, that the scientist dude is lying. For all we know, this isn't actually true. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping, like, they think she's like the reincarnation of Fine, but that's not actually true. Like, either she's making them think that, or they're just trying to put forth that front to try and bolster their side or something. That would be a good twist that I could get behind. And then we still have the other 2 girls, who one of which is extremely traumatized, and that has been made very clear now. Like, extremely. And the other one probably still traumatized, just nowhere near to the same level. So they're definitely going to become good guys. It's Chris all over again, just obviously different circumstances and different armors and everything. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's pretty well set up how this kind of thing is going to go. Um, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see. But all of that being said, we're just going to get on with it. So let's hope for the best. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So there's a few things to talk about with this episode, because you have the entire stuff at the beginning with continuing off of last time. You have the two girls who are kind of infiltrating, trying to steal the Symphogears. You have Chris's character arc coming to an end. There's quite a bit that happened in this episode. So let's start at the beginning. I don't think Maria is like Fine, because the way they're talking about things, like even with like, oh, her soul is slowly taking over. It's like that's not how it worked, right? Like, didn't Ryuko just kind of give up her soul for Fine to take over? Wasn't it kind of like almost an instantaneous thing? I don't think it was like a slow burn kind of situation. Like, oh, Fine's soul is slowly overtaking your own. Like, I don't know, fucking Ozpin from Ruby? It's not like that. I just feel like that's a big, like, flashing light that's supposed to tell you, like, oh, something's off here. Not to mention, like, it just, I don't know, it just seems too convenient as well that this villain organization is built around all of this, and now Maria, kind of the figurehead of it, is just announced to suddenly be Fine. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like a weird choice there. I don't think she is. But I think she believes she is. I'm thinking that the mother is lying, and I don't know why. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that she's clearly ill and coughing up blood. But yeah. We also see that Maria seems to be using the same drug that Connie was. Basically prior to the events of the main series. So that's interesting. Does that mean that Maria's that gives me kind of more feeling that Maria's gonna eventually die? Like I shared that theory before, that if any of like any of these three evil villain girls, I guess you could call them, if any of them were to die, it would be Maria. And it's kind of making me think I'm more and more right now. Simply because, like, we know how that went for Kanade. It literally showed it again here. But, either way, the enemies end up escaping and talking about how now that their base is revealed, they don't have the stuff they need to feed the Nephilim, and so it's like, just figuring out new plans and shit. Meanwhile, it's like, oh, we're going to go back to the school suddenly. Back for this festival that we saw a bit of before. And kind of see things from a different perspective as our two evil villain girls, who definitely have trauma, are sneaking around very poorly. They are not good at being sneaky. Um, but we get to see the entire Tsubasa and Chris coming into contact with each other from a different angle. And eventually it all leads up to Chris singing during this, singing competition that the festival has. And winning as well. It shows kind of the conclusion of at least this first story arc for Chris, going from this orphaned, traumatized, scared little girl who is alone and can't trust anyone to someone who's making friends and enjoying singing and finding a place she can call home. It's the conclusion of this character arc. And like I said, it doesn't mean that her character's done for, it just means that she moves on to the next. A lot of people, for some reason, don't understand that characters can go through multiple different arcs. They don't have to just have a single character arc throughout the run of the series. They can go through a couple different ones. And I think that's probably what they're going to do here. Now that Tsubasa's kind of closed out this one, kind of done a full turn on where she used to be, she's going to start a new one. And I don't know what that's going to be yet, but we'll see. But yeah, after Chris wins, we see the other girls. I cannot remember their names yet, so I just keep calling them the other girls or the evil girls or whatnot. But they, who, by the way, were absolutely smitten with Chris during her performance, especially the extreme trauma baby of the two of them, Pigtails there, she was thirsting pretty hard for Chris there. We know this series is pretty damn gay. And honestly, the thing is, I haven't really shipped Chris with anyone. Like, obviously, I ship Hibiki and Miku, but I never really shipped Chris and Tsubasa. It's like, you kind of feel almost a need to, just because they're the only two, good characters there to ship around the same age and all. But, I don't know, it's just, I never really saw them like that. They're just friends to me. So maybe, obviously, when this girl is, redeemed, because that's very clearly going to happen, maybe there will be something there. And maybe Blondie can be with Tsubasa, I don't know. Though it's hard to ship Tsubasa with anyone just because of Kanade. Just because we know that she and Kanade were very clearly a thing. And it's just like, Tsubasa's clearly moved on, not gotten over it. She's definitely not gotten over Kanade's death, but she's been able to move forward. But that doesn't mean she's necessarily ready for a new relationship or anything. I don't know. I'm talking like they're canon in relationships with each other, and I don't think they technically are. It's like excessively heavily implied, but I don't think in the actual canon they technically are. Either way, yeah, this episode closed out like basically the first, well, now as we know, 3.5 episodes of this season was kind of like almost a movie in a way. You know what I mean? It was like one long storyline. And then the second half of this episode kind of like took it back a little bit, and it's like, okay, now we're gonna move on to something new. We're gonna refresh, and we're still continuing like with the main story and everything, but it's it's going to kind of take a step back and not be so action focused, not be so heavily intense, which I think is probably a good thing. We need to refocus a little bit. Having all the action and stuff is great, but the really great thing about this series is that it does blend in the cutesy, fun, just generally nice stuff as well. It helps keep it balanced to a point where it's like it's not just all intensity all the time. And so I'm glad that they're pulling back on that a little bit here. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Symphogear G? And I really hope, and I really don't plan for the next episode to be another, 2.5 weeks away. I'm hoping for it to be sooner than that. Maybe just next week. Maybe later in this week if I'm feeling up to it. I don't know. It depends on how I'm feeling, but we'll see. I really hope it's not as long as last time, though. I really don't like having that big of a wait between episodes if I can help it. But like I said, I am actively trying to stick to my rule of only reacting to things when I want to, when I'm feeling up to it. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, if I continue to get out almost every series each week, though, it's like I'm being pretty proactive in that. So that's not a bad thing. It's just I want to actually try to force out this idea in my head that I need to get to everything each week. You know, I talked about that more in the video for Hell's Paradise yesterday. But yeah, either way, like I said, tell me your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.